I'm Rhonda Arthur, and I'm going to be demonstrating some basic suturing techniques. First of all, you'll want to remember this is a sterile procedure. Today, because I'm working on a sponge, I'm not wearing my gloves, but you'd be using gloves and using sterile instruments. I am going to start with a basic interrupted stitch. Note the way I'm holding the instrument so that I have wrist control. I can rotate my wrist. I start by placing the needle approximately 1 centimeter from the edge of the wound. Remember, follow the arc of the needle and pull it on around. You can leave enough suture tail out there so that you can tie your knot. I'm going to place my instrument parallel to the wound and wrap. Reach back and catch the very tail of the suture and pull. Now I'm doing this in the opposite direction. You want to catch the very tail end. If you catch the suture too far out, you'll make knots. Each time I'm placing it parallel to the wound and wrapping the opposite direction from the last time. There we go. Now I'm going to trim that. You want to put enough tension on this suture so that you invert the wound edges just slightly, but not so much pressure that you cause strangulation. I'm going to demonstrate that one once again. This is a basic interrupted stitch. Rotate my wrist around. I'm using pickups to stabilize the needle because I don't want to use my fingers. It's a good way to get a needle stick injury. You'll notice that I'm having all the knots land on one side of the wound and not directly over top of the incision line. Makes for a neater appearing wound, it's less irritating, and you do not want the suture to heal inside of this scab. Makes for easier removal of sutures as well. Okay, so that was 2 basic interrupted stitches. The next one I'm going to show you is the technique for horizontal mattress. I'm going to put the needle in, rotate it around. Now this time, instead of tying off here, I'm going to flip my needle in the opposite direction on the needle holder, and I'm going to go right back in just beside where I came out, and I want to come up just beside where I initially put my needle to start, and then I'm going to tie off. Alright, now I have a knot over there. So what you see here is that I went in here, came out on this side, carried my needle over, went right back in, and came back beside where I started and tied off. I'm going to do that one more time. And in general, when you work with real people, it's easier than working with these synthetics. Anytime you put a suture in that you don't like how it turned out, you can go ahead and just remove it and replace it. Alright, so that was my horizontal mattress stitch. And I happen to have enough suture left that I'm going to show you one last technique, and that's called a vertical mattress stitch. Now with the vertical mattress stitch, what you're going to do is you're going to take, on your very first bite, you're going to take a bigger, deeper bite. Now this time, I'm reversing the needle holder. Now this time, I'm going to go straight in toward the wound. This is a shallower bite, vertical, to my last suture, and I'm going to come up just inside the wound next to where I originally started. Hope you can see that. There we go. And then tie the knot. Just like that. So now what you see is that we had 2 basic interrupted stitches, 2 horizontal going in here, coming out, carrying over beside of it, going back in, coming out, tying the knot, and then a vertical mattress stitch going out, going in here, further out, coming up with a bigger bite, going in a little more shallow, coming up just to the inside and tying off on the knot. Thank you. I'm Rhonda Arthur, and I'm going to be demonstrating a flap repair. This way, if you have a laceration that comes down into a tip like this and you have a loose flap, this is how you're going to stabilize it. You're going to go inside here, come up inside the wound, leave your tail. Now, for this flap, this very tip of this flap, you're going to actually come through it sideways. Don't come up through the skin yet. Catch this needle, pull it on through, like that. And then we're going to come up on the inside of the wound here, come out to the skin and tie our knot. The way the suture's up under here, it's very nicely holding down this flap and stabilizing it. So now I'm just going to make my knot. There we go. And I'm going to trim that. Alright. And how you would finish this wound is that you'd come along your edges and do either your very basic interrupted stitch or horizontal or vertical mattress stitch. And you just proceed down the edges with your stitches like that to close it.